If you're like me, then you have a huge stack of books that are on your to-read list, and that list is growing faster than you're reading. You aren't able to keep up with it. So how about this year we dedicate a slot of our time towards the knowledge, experiences, life stories, and creative fiction writings by some amazing authors. Let's not be one of those people who just wants to rack up their number of books they have read each year. Let's slow down, pick one book a month, and immerse ourselves in the writer's mind. I'm keeping all three mediums of reading when I talk about these books, that's physical, Kindle, and Audible. The first one is Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. Let me just read the intro of this. Earth is 4.5 billion years old. In just a fraction of that time, one species among countless others has conquered it, us. What makes us brilliant? What makes us deadly? What makes us sapiens? This is the thrilling account of our extraordinary history, from insignificant apes to rulers of the world. I am very excited about this book. I have not heard a single crappy review of this book. I have a physical copy for this. This next one is Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. Let me just read you the intro of this. Malcolm explains and analyzes the tipping point, that magic moment when ideas, trends, and social behavior cross a threshold, tip, and spread like wildfire. It's a book about how small actions taken at the right time, at the right place, by the right people can create a tipping point for anything and become an epidemic. The book considers why certain products and ideas become viral. Malcolm is a Canadian author who's very well known for the deep research that he does for all his books. I would recommend that you listen to the episode on Jordan Harbinger's podcast. You will know the amazing depths that he goes to. He has many books like Talking to Strangers, Outliers, David and Goliath, Tipping Point, but after listening to this podcast, I went ahead and bought most of his books, and this is the first book I'm going to be reading this year. This next one is Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. If you know me, then you know that I'm a fanboy of him. I have many of his books on my reading list, but I went with this because I'm in a headspace where my mind is constantly racing, and that leads to a cluttered and chaotic mind. I'm in need of some defragmentation, and that's why this intro resonated with me. All great leaders, thinkers, artists, athletes, and visionaries share one indelible quality: the capacity for stillness. Sometimes cynically confused for idleness and ambivalence, stillness is actually the doorway to self-mastery, discipline, and focus. You can find reviews and conversations about this book on different episodes that just popped on your screen right now. This next one is 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. I don't want to say much about it, just listen to this. Nobody needs telling there isn't enough time. We are obsessed with our lengthening to-do lists, our overfilled inboxes, work-life balance, and the ceaseless structure against distraction. And we are deluged with advice on becoming more productive and efficient, plus life hacks to optimize our days. But such techniques often end up making things worse. Still, we rarely make the connection between our daily struggles with time and the ultimate time management problem, the challenge of how best to use our 4,000 weeks. That's it. That's what this book is about. Everybody talks about being productive and squeezing the life out of every minute in our day-to-day life, but nobody talks about taking a chill pill. That's what this book is about. I heard great reviews of this book on 2 different podcasts that I will leave it in the description below. This next one is Life Force by Tony Robbins. If you're at all in this world of self-help books, then you know that he's the king of this space. The intro goes like this. What if there were scientific solutions that could wipe out your deepest fears of falling ill, receiving a life-threatening diagnosis, or feeling the effects of aging? What if you had access to the same cutting-edge tools and technologies used by peak performers and the world's greatest athletes? Tony Robbins brings you more than 100 of world's top medical minds and the latest research, inspiring comeback stories and amazing advancements in precision medicine that you can apply today to help extend the length and quality of your life. That's what this book is about. One amazing interview by Tony is on this podcast by Tom Bilyeu, Impact Theory. I'll leave it in the description below. This book is about how to develop strength, focus, mood, and energy. But more than that, he talks about regenerative medicine, about how to recover from different injuries and how to prepare our bodies from any type of trauma. Basically, how to age slower. This next one is Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. I have not read anything by Simon, but I have watched him in a lot of interviews. The reason I picked this book is because of my current listen on Audible, Extreme Ownership. That book piqued my interest about what it takes to be a true leader. And that's why I picked this book. Just listen to this snippet. Leaders are the ones who run headfirst into the unknown. They rush towards the danger. They put their own interests aside to protect us or to pull us into the future. Leaders would sooner sacrifice what is theirs to save what is ours, and they would never sacrifice what is ours to save what is theirs. I think this is going to be a good one. If you're interested in checking the review of this book, listen to BookWorm Podcast episode 121. This next one is When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. This is going to be a lot of heartache. I'll tell you why in a second. At the age of 36, on the verge of completing a decade's worth of training as a neurosurgeon, Paul was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. One day he was a doctor treating the dying, and the next he was a patient struggling to live. And just like that, the future he and his wife had imagined evaporated. What makes life worth living in the face of death? What does it mean to have a child, to nurture a new life as another fades away? I told you it's going to be a lot of pain. I know I'm going to cry in this one. The next few books are going to be on a Kindle. The first one is Educated. Educated is a memoir by Tara Westover, who was 17 when she first set foot in a classroom. The first day she goes to university is the first day she goes to school ever. And she ends up eventually winning a fellowship from Cambridge and graduating with a PhD degree. This book is about finding your own voice and answering the call no matter what. It's about fighting through insane amount of adversities. A friend of mine has been recommending this book to me for over a year now. Her exact words were, "This book is going to make you cry." So now that's 2 books I'm going to cry on. The next one is A Man Called Ove by Frederick Beckman. Because the last 2 books are going to make me cry, I had to find something that is going to make me happy. This book has actually been on my list since I first read Anxious People by the same author. This book is about Ove, a grumpy retired man who thinks that he's surrounded by idiots. Those idiots includes all the neighbors who can't reverse their cars properly, all the joggers in his neighborhood, and everybody else. He's a retiree who spends his day by visiting his wife's grave and has given up on life now. But his life is about to change when new neighbors move next to him. I'm really excited about this one. I think it's a feel-good book. One of the reviews actually said that it's mainly funny, sprinkled with some sadness. So I'm excited about this one. The next one is Maidens by Alex. I'm not even gonna try the last name, forget about it. I am picking this book because I read his other book, Silent Patient, and I was absolutely in love with that story. This book is about a Greek professor who is adored by a secret group of female students called the Maidens. But when one of the Maidens ends up dead, a group therapist fixates herself onto this professor and is convinced that he's the murderer. From the reviews, I've heard that this book is just as great as Silent Patient. So if you have read Silent Patient, you should pick this one next. The next one is Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini. This book came out about 20 years ago and is a classic. This story is set in Kabul, Afghanistan at the time when Taliban were rising in the country. The backdrop of this story is between 1960s to early 2000s. This story is about Amir, who's struggling to find his place in this world because of the after effects and a fallout from a series of traumatic childhood events. It's about Amir, who is the son of a wealthy man, and Hassan, who is the son of his father's servant. I think it's going to be a heavy one, but it has amazing reviews, so I'm excited to read this. And the last one is Never Finished by David Goggins. I'm leaving this for the end because I'm going to read this book on physical copy, plus I'm going to buy an Audible version of this. The only reason I picked this one up is because I've read Can't Hurt Me. If you have not read that book, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Stop everything and go pick that up first. It will not disappoint you. If you know what he sounds like, then you know how amazing he is, and that's why I'm picking up an Audible copy of this as well. He actually has conversations and dissects and discusses everything that happened between each chapters. So that's it. That's my to-read list for 2023. Let me know in the comments below what you are going to read this year. Thanks for watching. Until next time, cheers.